Physiography of Karnataka. In this essay, we will take a look at physiography, topography, and detailed picture of geology and the structures of Karnataka as a whole. Accompanying maps will help you to understand the same. Physiographically, Karnataka state forms a part of two well-defined macro regions of Indian Union, the Deccan Plateau and the coastal plains and islands. The state has four physiographic regions, namely Northern Karnataka Plateau, Central Karnataka Plateau, Southern Karnataka Plateau, and the Karnataka coastal region. Let's have a look at the Northern Karnataka Plateau. The Northern Karnataka Plateau comprises of the districts of Belagavi, Bidar, Vijayapura, Bagalkot, Kalaburgi, and Yadgiri. It is largely composed of the Deccan Trap. It represents a monotonous, treeless extensive plateau landscape with a general elevation of 300 to 600 meters from the mean sea level. However, the river plains of the Krishna, the Bhima, the Ghataprabha and the Malaprabha with the intervening watersheds, the steppe-like landscapes, lateritic escarpments, residual hills and ridges break the monotony of this extensive plateau. The general slope is towards the east, and this region is largely covered with rich black cotton soils. Now let's take a look at the Central Karnataka Plateau. The Central Karnataka Plateau covers the districts of Bellary, Chikkamangaluru, Chitradurga, Davangere, Dharwad, Gadag, Haveri, Raichur, Koppal and Shivamogga. The region represents the transitional surface between the Northern Karnataka Plateau of the Deccan Trap and the Southern Karnataka Plateau with a relatively higher surface. By and large, this region represents the area of the Tungabhadra Basin. The general elevation varies between 450 and 700 meters. However, this transitional ground is broken by several sets of parallel ridges mainly made up of Dharwar system of rocks. The height of such residual hills is about 900 meters above sea level. The general slope of this region is towards the east. Now let's have a look at the Southern Karnataka Plateau. The Southern Karnataka Plateau covers the districts of Bangalore, Bangalore Rural, Hassan, Kodagu, Kolar, Mandya, Mysuru, Chamarajanagar and Tumakuru. This region largely covers the area of the Kaveri river basin lying in Karnataka. It is bounded by 600-meter contour and is characterized by a higher degree of slope. In the west and the south it is enclosed by the ranges of Western Ghats and the northern part is an interrupted but clearly identifiable high plateau. In the east, the valleys of the Kaveri and its tributaries open out to form undulating plains. The general elevation of the region varies from 600 to 900 meters. However, residual heights of 1500 to 1750 meters are found in the Biligiri Rangan hills of Mysuru district and the Brahmagiri range of the Kodagu district. Now finally, let's have a look at the Karnataka coastal region. The Karnataka coastal region, which extends between the Western Ghats edge of the Karnataka Plateau in the east and the Arabian Sea in the west, covers Dakshina Kannada, Udupi and Uttara Kannada districts. This region is traversed by several ridges and spurs of Western Ghats. It is a difficult terrain with full of rivers, creeks, waterfalls, peaks and ranges of hills. The coastal region consists of two broad physical units, the plains and the Western Ghats. The coastal plains represent a narrow stretch of estuarine and marine plains. The abrupt rise at the eastern flanks forms the Western Ghats. The northern parts of the Ghats are of lower elevation, that is 450 to 600 meters, as compared to the southern parts, which is 900 to 1500 meters. The coastal belt, with an average width of 50 to 80 kilometers, covers a distance of about 267 kilometers from north to the south. At certain places, the crest of adjoining Western Ghats reach the sea as close as 13 kilometers near Karwar. The average height is generally 75 meters from the mean sea level. Topography of Karnataka. Karnataka has representatives of all types of variation in topography: high mountains, plateaus, residual hills and coastal plains. The state is enclosed by chains of mountains to its west, east and south. It consists mainly of a plateau which has a higher elevation of 600 to 900 meters above the mean sea level. The entire landscape is undulating, broken up by mountains and deep ravines. Plain land of elevation less than 300 meters above mean sea level is to be found only in the narrow coastal belt facing the Arabian Sea. There are quite a few high peaks both in western and eastern Ghat systems with altitudes more than 1500 meters. A series of cross sections drawn from west to east across the western Ghats generally exhibit a narrow coastal plain followed to the east by small and short plateaus at different altitudes, then suddenly rising up to great heights. Then follows the gentle east and east-northwest sloping plateau. Among the tallest peaks of Karnataka are the Mullayanagiri at around 1900 meters, Baba Budangiri at around 1800 meters, and the Kudremukh at around 1890 meters, all in Chikkamangaluru district, and the Pushpagiri at 1900 meters in Kodagu district. There are a dozen peaks which rise above the height of 1500 meters. The percentage of area coming under different elevations is as follows. Less than 150 meters comprises 5.16%. 150 to 300 meters comprises 1.95%. 300 to 600 meters comprises 43.51%. 600 to 1350 meters comprises 48.81%. And more than 1350 meters comprises 0.57%. Geology of Karnataka. Karnataka is one of the 5 major Archean cratons of the Indian Shield, preserving within it rocks ranging in age from 3.4 billion years to 2.6 billion years. In geological literature, this craton is referred to as the Dharwar craton, which extends beyond the geographical boundary of the state. In general, the geological formations of the state are grouped under these categories. The Archean complex, consisting of both older and younger schist belts, granitic gneiss, and proterozoic sedimentary formations, the Deccan Traps, the tertiary and recent formations. Of these, the major part, which is about 60% of the state, is composed of the Archean complex, consisting of gneisses, granites, and high-grade rocks. Division of Dharwar Craton. Dharwar Craton is divided into 2 major blocks, designated as the Western Dharwar Craton and the Eastern Dharwar Craton, considering the regional changes, lithological variations, differences in volcano, sedimentary environment, magmatism, and grade of metamorphism. The Western Dharwar Craton is characterized by large schist belts showing evidences of being accumulated in distinct sedimentary basins, while the Eastern Dharwar Craton is characterized by voluminous juvenile granites, and remobilized gneiss along with the remnants of the schist belts. Western Dharwar Craton. The Western Dharwar Craton contains 3 major components, namely the schist belonging to the older Sargur group, which is around 3000 million years, under which are included Sargur, Hole Narsipur, Krishna Rajpet, Nagamangala, Hadanur, Nuggehalli, Karighatta, and other minor belts, which are made up of diverse lithological assemblages ranging from mafic to ultramafic rocks, aluminous sediments, most of which show high-grade metamorphism. Rocks belonging to this group are rich in deposits of gold, chromite, and vanadium bearing titaniferous magnetite, besides other economically important non-metallic minerals like asbestos, barytes, corundum, kyanite, sillimanite, and garnet. Peninsula Gneissic Complex. This is around 2500 million years old. The larger part of the Karnataka state is composed of granite, granodiorite, and gneissic granite, along with banded gneiss and migmatite, which are collectively known by the name Peninsula Gneissic Complex. Peninsula gneiss is believed to be the basement for the Dharwar supergroup. The term is now restricted to the gneisses occurring west of close-spate granite. Dharwar supergroup, which is around 2000 to 2500 million years old. Dharwar supergroup consists of volcanic and sedimentary sequences accumulating in geosynclinicals basin extending in north-northwest direction and are traceable continuously along the strike for over more than 300 kilometers. Dharwar supergroup is subdivided into 2 main groups. Lower is designated as the Baba Budan group, named after the Baba Budan range, and consists mainly of quartzite, banded iron formation, and volcanic flows. Economically, this group is important for its rich accumulations of iron ore. reserves run into several billion tons. The rich iron ores of Bellary district have contributed substantially to the export trade in iron ore. The magnetite quartzites of Kudremukh were earlier mined on a large scale, but now, considering the importance of biodiversity of the Western Ghats, the mining has been abandoned. The conglomerate at the base of the Bababudan group carries values of gold and copper and also shows high radioactivity. The limestones of Hosadurga, Chikkanayakkanahalli, Banasandra, Kudre Kanive and Bhadigund are exploited for the production of cement. The basic volcanic rocks and the differentiates contain economic concentration of gold as at Bellara, Ajjanahalli, Kudirekonda, Palavanahalli and Nyamti, and of copper at Ingaldhal. High-grade terrain. The high-grade granulite terrain is confined to the southern extremity of the state. Structural and metamorphic continuity is observed between the low-grade and the high-grade terrain which extends further south into Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Close-spate granite, which is around 2600 million years old. Close-spate granite is a set of coarse-grained potassic granites which form a chain of rounded bosses and domes running north to south, right through the middle of the states, from near Shivasamudram in the south to Post Bellary in the north, which spans a length of over 400 kilometers. These coarse-grained granites are confined to a belt of about 10 to 20 kilometers wide. The magnificent hill masses of Savanadurga, Magadi, Ramanagaram, Shivaganga, Devarayana Durga, Madhugiri, Molakalmuru and Pavagada are formed of these granites. Eastern Dharwar Craton. The schistose belts of Eastern Dharwar Craton are made up of almost a thick pile of basalt. These gneissic rocks are part of an older crust. The schist belts of Eastern Dharwar Craton include the Kolar Schist Belt, Siruguppa Schist Belt, Putti Maski Schist Belt, Bangaluru Schist Belt, Hunagund Kustagi Schist Belt, Diodurga Schist Belt. Of these, the Kolar and Hutti schist belts are well known for their gold mineralization and have been extensively mined. Sometimes these two belts are called gold-bearing schist belts of eastern Karnataka. Dharwar Batholith. The plutonic belts of eastern Dharwar Craton have been grouped under Dharwar Batholith. The Dharwar Batholith is mainly granodiortic and granitic in composition. It is a product of remobilization of the crust during the late Archean and early Proterozoic time, that is 1600 to around 542 million years old. Kaladgi Basin. The basin covers over 8,300 square kilometers, extending from Belagavi on the west to Bagalkot and beyond to the east. The rock assemblages include quartzite, limestone and shale. Kaladgi sediments have been reported indicating the beginning of life in the early part of Earth's history. Badami Group. Badami Group occupies an area of about 2,600 square kilometers in Bagalkot and Belagavi districts. The red-colored quartzite is characteristic of this group. The rocks are confined to the southern part of the Kaladgi Basin. The renowned rock-cut temples of Badami and Aihole are carved out of the red-colored Badami sandstone. Bhima Group. Rocks of this group are exposed on either side of the Bhima river, covering the districts of Vijaypura, Kalaburgi and partly Yadgir, and is covered by the Deccan Trap on the north. The rock assemblages include conglomerate, sandstone, shale and limestone. The limestone deposits of the Proterozoic basins in the northern part of Karnataka have supported large-scale cement factories. Deccan Volcanics. 63 to 68 million years old. Deccan volcanism occurred at the close of the Cretaceous and dawn of the Tertiary period in Earth's history. The northern part of Karnataka, and more particularly the districts of Belagavi, Vijayapura, Bidar and Kalaburgi, are covered over by extensive spreads of Deccan Trap. However, these rocks have given rise to the extensive development of black cotton soil. Laterite. Laterite is a peculiar type of residual porous clayey rock full of worm-like tubes, made up mainly of hydrated oxides of iron and aluminium, formed as the end product of the weathering of underlying rocks. The best development of laterite is seen in the Bidar, Humnabad and Basava Kalyan taluks of Bidar district. The entire coastal belt from Kasargod right up to Karwar is covered by thick cappings of laterite. Cappings are common over the Deccan Traps in Belagavi and Uttara Kannada districts. Recent deposits and alluvium. The coastal plain bordering the Arabian Sea for a length of over 300 kilometers from Mangaluru in the south up to the Goa border in the north and over a width of 10 to 20 kilometers inland is covered by laterite. Blown sands occur along the coastal beaches.